You do not strike me as a fearful person, and I want to bring up something I found. This is in New York Magazine, and I want to ask you about this. So here's the paragraph. Corcoran and Trump haven't always seen eye to eye. In 1994, Corcoran accused Trump of not paying millions of dollars of commissions to tour brokers who brought him key Hong Kong investors of his Riverside South project. So I think a lot of people are intimidated by many things in life. Certainly, a lot of people would be intimidated by somebody like Trump, but it seems like you are willing to fight, and I'm curious how you developed that, or if that has been something from childhood that you've just carried forward. But a lot of people know what they should do, or the moral thing to do, and they're afraid to do it because they're afraid of some type of punishment or someone who is intimidating. And I'm wondering if you could just speak to that, maybe to the example, but it could be another example, and your willingness to not back down.
Well, that's a good example because he's an intimidating man. He's a bully. He's a real live bully in every way. With him, I wasn't scared for a second. I had never had a lawsuit. I didn't know how to hire an attorney. I didn't know what it was about. I'm not a fighter. You got me wrong on that, Tim. I don't like to fight. I'll walk a mile to avoid a fight. But when someone insults me, it brings out the fight in me. I don't know where that comes from. I guess same thing with the competitors being insulting to me. I know where that comes from. When my father would drink, and he was a social drinker, so it wasn't a big issue, but it was an issue. He would be abusive with his mouth, like a bully. And he was the loveliest man in the world and would turn into a bully. I hated him for that. I hated how he talked to my mother. I hated how he talked to his children. And so it would just tip into that. So when Donald is like, "You're not seeing a penny," I'm like, I turn into a killer. It's insulting to think I'll really roll over on that. And thank God how life happens. It was the first year I made a real profit in Corcoran Group.
Oh, I didn't know
Because
that.
I never made money because I was always throwing my money back in and living so cheap so that I could afford to open offices. Always the money went to the business. The money went to the business, never came to me. And that year I had more money than I could spend. I had like over $1 million in profit. The year before, the many years before that, I either had losses or 100,000, but it cost me $500,000 to sue, but I had the cash. Think about that. So I felt powerful that I got the money to fight it. And I'm certainly not going to walk away because you know what my thinking is? I'm walking away from a well-fought fight. You resent it and regret it for the rest of your life. I didn't want to be that girl who said, "You son of a bitch, how did he get away with it? How did he get it?" You regret when you don't confront things, I think in anything, but particularly with a moral fight. And in my mind, that was morals, all about morals. I earned the money. You signed you'd give it to me and you're not giving it to me? You're suing me instead? Oh, no, I don't think so. But what other lesson I learned at that juncture, just as important as a willingness to fight, is get the right help. I never had a lawsuit, as I just said, and I interviewed the top law firm. And I think I had 5 or maybe 4, maybe 4 is more realistic. The 4 top attorneys in the 4 litigious firms in town. And I wanted to hire the toughest guy, thinking I need a tough guy to beat this tough guy. But I didn't conclude there. I met an attorney, I forget which firm, Skadden Arps, I think he was with, Richard Seltzer. He's now retired. And he had the most solid thinking. And I used my common sense to say, which attorney is not saying I'll win, but which attorney is saying why he'll win. And this guy told me why he was going to win and the strategy. And it was so simple. I said, "You've got the case." And he was a showman in court, like show business. And his thinking was so smart. And he didn't give Donald an inch. And he called me after the lawsuit was won, like 2 weeks later, and said, "I need your permission to work for Donald Trump." Donald Trump, what do you work? He said, he's hiring me for a major lawsuit. He said, "It's a conflict of interest." I said, "I got my money on the way." So no problem,
That is incredible that it only took 2 weeks.
To call the attorney.
Oh, okay,
I wasn't getting my money. No, I'm so sorry. I misrepresented. Donald Trump took about 2 weeks, I guess, because my attorney called me like 2 weeks later. "Can I represent Donald Trump?"
I see.
But it took me 5 years to get the commission because the judge, he said he didn't have the money, which was true. He was near bankruptcy. So the judge made him pay me the commission in $55,555 installment payments for 5 years, or whatever, how many years it took. And you know what? The best part of getting those commission checks, you've done such research, maybe you read this, but I got to tell it 'cause it's my favorite thing.
Yeah, please.
I sent him a giant bouquet of flowers when I got the first $55,000 hand delivered to me by messenger. I said, "Thank you, Donald," hand wrote it. "I really appreciate the check." And I sent him the note with the same messenger, and he took them back with the flowers, and he sent it back to me, and he put he always wrote in thick ink, and he put on it, "Rejected," and sent the flowers back to me. What is that stupid? But then I had the flowers. So I send him flowers for the next 4 or 5, whatever many years it was, and flowers that I liked because I knew he sent them back every month. Rejected. That's the best part of the lawsuit.